Alright guys, so I told you that I was going to make a new deck profile when I had a new list, and this was pretty successful today. So I topped with this. I built this like super last second, and honestly, it worked extremely well. It's a bit budget. It's branded Despia. It's a bit budget, but I have a little I have a nice little spin on it. You guys will see it. I think this is pretty well for people who like can't afford Cartesias or like want to keep their budget extremely strict like me. I didn't have the money to get like this is gonna be embarrassing. I couldn't get Cartesias, couldn't get Rindworms, or couldn't find them, and I couldn't get Guardian Chimera, but I made it work regardless, and you guys are gonna see how. 4 rounds, and then I played 2 additional opponents for top cut, and my opponents in the first 4 rounds were Crystal Beast, Runic, Cash, and Sword Soul, and my top cut opponents were another Cash and Marincess, which was pretty fun. So I ended up topping with this. I only lost against one Cash tier player, and that's just because I didn't read, I misplayed. So yeah, I'm just gonna get right into it. This is 40 cards, and we're just gonna get into it. So to start off, 3 Fallen Valdez. You can't go wrong with it. I can't really say anything about Fallen Valdez. I mean, you want to have 3 so it doesn't get like banished from Kashtira, which actually did happen a few times. And surprisingly enough, I burned through these copies of Albaz so quickly. Like if I was playing any less, I would not have been able to pull off like half the stuff I was doing. And also, there was one instance against the Marincess player, like he had a really established board, and all I had was like a branded Lost and Theater of the Branded, right? He had Toad, he had a Wave in hand, and he had a Marincess, like a negate that had like Spell Trap negate. I forget what it was called. I think it was Argo or something like that. And like I had branded Lawson boards, so all I had to do was bait out the wave. I successfully baited out the wave by special summoning something and then trying to get its effect off. And I can't remember, what did I special? Let me see. I'm trying to think off the top of my head here. Okay, I remember. I had special summoned Baldrake. Yeah, it was Baldrake. And then like he was trying to go off of this plays, and I just baited out the wave. And when he tried to like do a link summon, and I normal summoned this. He couldn't respond to it. He couldn't negate the activation with Toad because Brandon Lost was on board, so I just kind of got rid of his negate, and it was pretty awesome. So I'd say play 3 of this. Pretty sauce. You gotta have them. Another 3 of in here. We're gonna get into the Despia cards now. I just want to show off the main stake of the deck. For the Despia cards, 3 Aluber, 2 Tragedy, and 1 Adlib. I don't play Dramaturge in here because I didn't feel it was necessary, but this setup right here was amazing. Adlib, I loved Adlib so much. Like, being able to just recur Mirror Jade or any fusion that I had or any like level 8 or higher fusion I had in my grave was amazing. So I was able to recur Mirror Jades, I was able to recur, what is it called? I was able to recur like Queritus. In some cases, I was able to even recur like a Starving Venom, which was hilarious because I could use it and like copy people's effects, or just like get multiple pops off of its effect. Because the effect to pop, if well, no, it has to be fusion summoned, but like being able to recur it and like recur a bunch of different cards like Skrdass. Tragedy, 2 Tragedies, just it's amazing because just if it gets banished or if it gets sent to grave by card effect, you can just add a free either Dramaturge or a Luber, And then its other effect, I actually use it a lot. I actually use Tragedy's second effect a lot, where if you banish it, you can set a branded spell trap in your grave. And this came up a lot because if my opponent would like exhaust all my plays and I ran out of stuff to do in my hand, I will remember like, oh snap, I have a Tragedy and a Branded Fusion in my grave, so I could literally just banish Tragedy, set the Branded Fusion, and then activate the Branded Fusion the same turn it was set, because that's how normal spell cards work, and not unlike quick play spells where you have to like, if you set them you can't like activate them, but like normal spells, I set that and then I could immediately activate it. Absolutely crazy. I loved it. And then the 3 Aluber, it just gets you mainly to Branded Fusion, but in some cases I would search like Branded Red or Theater. If I already had Branded Fusion in my hand, I would search Theater just so I can like have it just in case Branded Fusion gets ashed. Surprisingly, I only got my Branded Fusion ashed 2 times throughout the entire tourney. It was crazy. Guess people just weren't having it. For the other, like, I guess supporting cast, I guess you could say, for the Albaz related support, 1 kit for extra consistency when trying to grab branded spell trap cards, 1 Mercurier, and 1 Albion. I do need to mention that every single one of these can be searched off of Branded Lost, so that's also a reason why they're played. But this is more consistency because it can be special from hand or grave if you control a fusion monster that has Fallen of Albaz listed in the material. So if you have this in grave chillin', I would send it off of like, I would send it most times off of Branded Opening, and then I would like send it from my hand with like Branded Opening. Then I'd special my cards, make plays, and then I'd be able to special summon this, use its effect, and get an additional Branded Spell Trap to extend my plays. I like that a lot. I only played 1 though because I didn't feel like I needed more than that. This is just a base. This is just a free hand trap. If you control a fusion monster that mentions Fallen of Albaz in its materials, you can quick effect send this card from the hand or the field to the grave, negate the effects, right? And if it's banished, you can search for a Fallen of Albaz or a monster that mentions it, so that's pretty cool. It's also pretty good for a lore, which is what I did a few times to like extend my plays if I open this in hand. And then Albion, so great today. I would basically, like, how I have this deck built is I have a ton of draw power and deck thinning with this. So Albion, I was able to like shuffle back Albion back into the deck, or like put it back at the bottom with its effect, draw a card, and get like Retribution or Opening in the Grave, and it came in so clutch. I didn't actually use the effect to special it from hand, but you don't really need that effect. 2 Edge of Chain, because I played the Patchwork engine in here. I mean, this card, this is the card I misplayed off of a lot because I haven't used the Patchwork engine too much before. So, I didn't realize that like all it has to do is be sent to the grave to activate, and then you can get your Patchwork. That's one thing I need to like remember. So like if it's sent to the grave at all, you get its effect to grab Patchwork. So yeah, but other than that, just grab Patch. It's basically just a free way to deck thin. If you have it in hand, or you can send it from your hand if you have a way, or you can just send it to deck to grave, like Branded Fusion or something like that. Send it to grave, then it'll effect will activate, taking a card out of your deck, which is Patchwork effect, grab another 2. So you're thinning out with just this card. You're thinning out 3 cards in one big play, and that's absolutely amazing. And then for the Bestials I play in here, I only play 2 Bestials because that's all I need for budget, since I'm not playing like any of the big stuff. 1 Seonir and 1 Baldrake. Since I'm not really, this is like heavy budget. I'm only playing with like stuff that I have on hand, or like stuff that was like relatively cheap to grab on short notice. So I thought this was nice because with Seonir, when it's sent, I can send like Retribution or Opening or something like that, I can also banish my own stuff for it, so that works. Also, it's just a big body and Baldrake. This is the one I kept on field because I could just I could have it on board when my opponent would summon from the extra deck or like ritual summon or something like that. I could just tribute to one of my other big guys on big darks or lights on board and banish one of their stuff. I wish it was just like special summons in general because that would have helped a lot against Cash, but you gotta live and learn. But yeah, big body is pretty sauce. And then here's a little spin I put on this. The one copy of Shadal Beast, because I play Winda in here. This Winda was so MVP. And Beast really helps because like you can send Albaz and Beast off Brand Fusion, and then you can go Chainlink 1, Lubellion, Chainlink 2 Beast. And like what you can do with that is if your opponent's playing like Ghost Bell, just easy chain block, and then you can get Wind out for free, which is hilarious. And then 3 Ash, because you can't go wrong with triple Ash, you know. For the spells, I'm gonna start with all like the branded spells that I played in here. I played 3 branded fusion, 2 branded opening, 1 branded in red, 1 Despia Theater of the Brandon, and 1 branded lost. I'm gonna move this into the frame a little bit. 3 branded fusion is just standard. I mean, can't go wrong with it. If it gets Ash though, you gotta like kind of cry about it. I only played 2 branded opening, and I did that mainly because of the way that I was playing in here. Since I wasn't playing like Dramaturge, I didn't really think I needed that because I only play like the Alubers as the main special. And you're probably thinking like, oh, it's just consistency. But like the thing is with this is like, okay, I get it's for consistency, like you want to see this often, but like we have so many ways to fuse in here. Getting to branded fusion isn't like the primary win con anymore. Like and on top of that, we have so much draw power and deck thinning. It's like you if you have this, it's kind of just like an easy plus, you know. But I mean, I can understand if you want to play 3. I'm personally sticking with 2 because there were other cards I wanted to play in here. I wanted to make room for like other cards as you've like seen so far. So yeah, I'm not changing anything in this. The 1 Brandon Red, it came up a few times. Mainly, I didn't really actually use like the Albion set Brandon Red. I only used it a couple times, like maybe like 2-3 times. And when it popped off, obviously I couldn't make Chimera, but like the other level 8s I can make like a Mirror Jade when they got rid of the first one, or say for instance like I haven't used Mirror Jade's effect and I like grab Brandon Red in opening hand or like had it off of like a draw or something like that. I could make Mirror Jade off of it. I could make Lubellion to make like a Winda during their turn, or Albion. In some cases, I could make like Masquerade too. I remember I actually made Masquerade during my opponent's turn when like he had bricked. It was against the Sword Soul player. He had bricked, and he just like set 1 card past. I went through my turn comboing off. I dealt him enough damage to get him down to 12, and then during his turn, I shotgunned Branded in red and made Masquerade off rip, and he just like he was stuck because he was originally saving his hand traps for Winda, but since I had the Masquerade on board, he had to go for that first or else he was gonna lose. Despia Theater, this card was amazing. If I had Brand Fusion, I would add it off of like another ad card, and it was just so great because like since I have so many monsters in here that are just like free fusions, I was able to like get this off almost all the time I played it. So like I would have like an extra like Despia card in there. It was so good for setting up like getting the gas out there if like my Branded Fusion got ashed. I love this card so much. And then Branded Lost, it only came up 2 times. The first time was against the Marincess player, and the second time was against the Crystal Beast player, so I was able to like get more ads off of it. They weren't able to like negate the activation of my fusion cards, stuff like that. Oh yeah, no, it did come up against Sword Soul player too. I remember. Yeah, it did come up against the Sword Soul player where like he had Barone on board. I had Branded Lost on board. He couldn't get rid of it just yet, and I had just normal summoned Albaz and boop, got rid of it. Let's see. Then real quick, I should have probably put these all together, but I wanted to separate Monster Skull Traps. 2 Patchwork and 2 Poly. I think 2 is just like a good ratio for this because it's 2 and 2. Patchwork, really great card. Add your Edgem Chain and your Poly. You can't go wrong with that. And then the Poly, good lord, the Poly. Oh my god. If I didn't have Branded Fusion, I always had Poly in hand. I like the amount of gas that you have in this deck because you have so many ways to fuse. You don't really have to worry about, unless you brick astronomically, you're never worrying about Branded Fusion getting ashed and you're just like, oh, it's the end of the world. You're never thinking that. Because hold on, let me go through here real quick and count all the ways we can fuse, because this is the last fusion card that we actually have in the deck. So I'm gonna count these individually. So how many fusion cards do we have in the deck, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 fusion cards in the deck, right? Now, if we want to count the ways we can get to those fusion cards, this number just skyrockets, dude. Like, over half the deck is just ways to fuse. So it's like, oh my god, it's beautiful. And then for the, we have the One Foolish. Mainly only use it for Edgem Chain or, what is it? I only really use it for Edgem Chain or Tragedy, but it did pop off when it did, And then for the last 3 of the spells, Triple Allure. This card was amazing. It's just since you draw first instead of paying the cost. Well, there is no real cost, but since you draw first and then banish, you can just blind Allure, get something, and like this actually helped a lot. I would run out of cards and I'd like have a single Allure in hand. I could just blind Allure, and like I could always get like at least one other card, and banished fodder. So being able to at least have one extra card in hand that's useful to you is always nice. And also, if you don't have any banished fodder, it'll just like send your whole hand to the grave. And in certain cases with certain cards, that can actually be beneficial. So like for example, Branded Opening. Like, sure, it kind of sucks if you don't have it, but having Branded Opening in your rig, you already have fusions, it's free protection. So, I mean, yeah. And then for the traps, I only play 1 Branded Retribution, and that's the only Branded trap I play in here. I don't play Expulsion because I just don't want to. But this, I actually did end up using, like, I would open this card and I could actually end up using the Omni Negate effects. Or, well, the negate that, like, stops the effect of, like, a monster that special summons or something like that. Like, whatever its effect reads, I'm just being dumb. This effect actually was pretty funny, because on most of my boards, I would leave a Lubellion on board, since, like, I would make window with it. So I just have, like, the Lubellion sitting there, and I could just have this set, and then bounce the Lubellion back to my extract, and then get a free negate. And then also its second effect, just, okay, give me back my free Branded Fusion, And then for the last, triple Imperm, because you can't not play Imperm. For the extra, because I'm also going to show the side off too. For the extra, though, we're going to start with all the, the branded stuff. 2 Mirror Jade, 2 Lubellion, 2 Albion, and 1 Sprint. These guys came up a lot because, cash is a thing. They couldn't really banish these unless I'd already summoned Mirror Jade and maybe just like get rid of the other one. But for the most part, when I would just have multiples of these, they were just like, oh, okay, we just gotta find something else, you know? And this card, I thought about playing 3 of it, but then I was like, no. But 2 of these is great because it's like the main line with this specific deck, since like 90% of the deck is darks, unless we side out into like the nib. And then the one Sprint, I really only play Sprint, believe it or not, as either a super poly target or a or just a fallen Valdez thing. So like what I'll do is, certain cards that I have let me special summon Albaz, and like if my opponent special summons during my turn, right, I can normal summon Albaz and just take their stuff. But also in certain cases, like say for instance I use Branded Opening and to get a Luber effect, if they negate it, if I have some other way to fuse and I have like Albaz in my hand or somewhere else, I can like at least make Sprint. And also when it's like sent, I can special summon Also when it's sent, I can like special summon Albaz too. So it's like, ugh, give me a free fusion. So like I like it. Then for the Despia stuff, I play 2 Masquerade, 1 Queritus. The double mask was hilarious because I would always play it in time. This card actually won me 2 of the games, one against Sword Soul and one against Crystal Beast. We had gotten into game 3 and he went I believe he went first, and he set up his board. I cracked it a little bit. I was able to get my plays going, and then I set up Masquerade and Winda, so he was forced to out the Winda, but he couldn't really out the Masquerade, so he was going through his combos, and he was just getting burned so much by this. And then I had Nib in hand, so he made his big board of like Rainbow Over Dragon, something like that, tried to go for game with 11k damage, and time had been called, so he was like, oh, as time was called, he was like, battle phase game. I was like, well, actually, all right, end of main, I'm gonna throw down a Nib. Oh my god, it was too funny. And I just won because Nib and burn in time. Yay. And then the 1 Queritus, I really only use this to break down like boards that didn't have a ton of negates. If it was like some like Cash, where it was like 1 main interruption and then like a bunch of little stuff, I would just put down a Queritus. Most people put a Rise Heart in defense, but I mean, if you're an idiot or just want to put your fragile board in attack, okay, cool, Queritus. Let me just put all of them down, swing over them, And also, it's Grave Effect came up once, because just being able to special summon Albaz and get a free interruption during your opponent's turn is hilarious. And then we play the MVP Winda at 2 because I didn't want to get banished by Cash. Double Winda. Believe it or not, I actually ended up taking advantage of the double Winda because the first time Winda got outed, and then I just remade it again because I shuffled back Beast and the Albaz to make the Winda. So having 2 Winda actually came up. And it's just like, for all of you who don't know what Winda does, I know the people who actually know what this card does probably have PTSD from seeing this on the other side of the opponent's board. But for the people who don't know what Winda does, it is a walking floodgate that cannot be destroyed by card effects. So this card actually came up against Runic. They tried to use Flashing Fire, and it was just like, oh, okay. You can't banish because you can't pop, and this is the only card I have on my board. So, yeah. And basically what this card does, it's a walking floodgate that says each player can only special summon 1 time a turn. And it counts the amount of times an opponent has special summoned during the turn. So if you are able to special summon this during your opponent's turn and they've already specialed, they can no longer special at all. It's hilarious. So like my opponents would have a really tough time outing this. And that's actually how I clutched it up against Marincess, because just they need those specials so they can link climb. But like just being able to summon this during my opponent's turn is just beautiful, man. Branded in red is funny. And then for the primary super poly targets, 1 Mud Dragon, 1 Dragocepalia, and 1 Starving Venom. Starving Venom does a lot because because like I have Super Poly in the side, so like if your opponent wants to try to like 5 zone lock you, try to like make sure you can special or some like monster your main monster zone, they're gonna need Diablosis and like a Rise Heart maybe, right? Okay, they do that. Super Poly, Diablosis, and a Rise Heart are gone. Then you just make the what is it? You just make Starving Venom. Then Starving Venom can take the attack of the Shangri-Ira, and I mean you don't gain anything from it, but I mean you can gain attack off any special summon monster. And then the best part, you can once per turn use the effect of this card right here, copy the effect of any level 5 or higher monster on your opponent's side of the field, copy its name and effect till end phase. You basically become a carbon copy of this card, right? And its original name and original effect, right? So it just becomes a carbon copy of the card you target, right? This is hilarious because certain cards that have like amazing effects that can like Cash Tira, if you summon this somehow and can copy the effect of like a Fenrir or a Unicorn, especially Fenrir, you can just copy the effect of Fenrir. Okay, if they have a Shangri-Ira on board or a Rise Heart, okay, boom, declare, effect, banish it face down. Like, bro, it's so good. It has so many implications because, like, especially if you like summon this and like your opponent has like a negate out, they have to negate this, and they have to make sure it's a negate and that doesn't destroy because its other effect kicks in. If this fusion summon monster is destroyed, it pops all special summon monsters your opponent controls. So, say for instance, Baron. Oh, okay. If you want a Baron, all right, cool. The second you do, this gets destroyed, and all your cards go bye bye. So, in a lot of cases, it's like if you get this out, they have to pick their poison, and it's so great. Dracostapalia, I actually didn't end up super polying this because I didn't really have a mirror match, even though there was a ton of branded players. I actually would end up summoning this off of my other fusions, so I could just have like the extra negate. But I mean, like you can't go wrong with a free target negate. That's a soft once per turn. So if you can like recycle this and have multiple, because like this card, what a lot of people tend to forget is that all it does for its effect is place predator counters. The effect that negates is just another card written on it. If they have predator counters, every card with a predator counter gets negated. So, say for instance, if you can put this card back in your extra deck after putting a predator counter on an opponent's monster, the predator counter will stay. You send this back to the extra deck, and you can like you have a way to like resummon it again, activate its effect again, negate another card, but the second this one hits board, the first one that had the predator counter gets negated. Great. I'm sad it's not a level 8. It's a level 7, so you can't use branded in red off of it, which is just really disheartening. Ooh, yeah. Actually, wait, I was wrong. Wait, never mind. It's an 8. I'm just dumb. Okay. So yeah, it is an 8, so you can actually brand any red off of it. That is hilarious. And then the last, Mud Dragon. For some reason, Mud Dragon actually comes up as super poly target. Now that, like, because at first I thought it was like, oh, okay, this is bad. But like, the more I think about it, it's actually pretty good because it's like same attribute, different types. So, sadly, it doesn't hit Sprite, but you can make it off of your own stuff because it's multiple darks. But in certain, this mainly comes up in more rogue matches, I guess you could say. So like against the Malensis player, I summoned this, and it was like, okay, you have Toad, and you have another card. Okay, Super Poly. Yep. Aqua and Cybers. Yeah. Other matchups, basically just if they have the same attribute, different types, it's solid, right? There were a couple like combos with that in Sword Soul, which were like kind of funny. Mainly, just like since swords, a couple of the sword soul cards, when they're synchros, have the same attribute in different types. So it kind of worked in my favor, I guess. The main deck monsters were all worms, but like the Baron and stuff like that. Mainly, you're just gonna be most times you're gonna be taking your opponent's stuff though and using one of yours, which so you can't just like take double of your opponent's stuff. But like, oh, okay, yeah, they have a dark, that isn't dragon or fairy or something like that. Okay, we're taking that. So yeah, that's the extra. And I'm sorry this is taking so long, but we're gonna get to the side now. This video is already super long. For the side, I'm just gonna speed blitz it. For the only monsters that we play on the side, 2 Nib. Basically, the only reason I play Nib in here is because in a lot of matches that I played, Ash and Imperm were still good, but I needed more hand traps. So what I would actually do is side out the Bestials, which was actually kind of nice. So just being able to have 3 Ash, 3 Imperm, and 2 Nib for 8 hand traps, which is pretty nice. I like that. Then 2 Dark Hole, 2 Enemy Controller, 2 Super Poly, 2 Triple Tactics Talent, and 2 Twin Twister. I'm going to explain all this. The reason why I'm playing Twin Twister instead of Cosmic is because since I'm only playing 2, I thought I might as well maximize on the amount of cards I can pop with 1. Instead of just, okay, target pop or target banish 1, I can, like, target pop 2, you know? And the discard normally would be a downside, but with a lot of my cards, like, especially Edge and Chain, it all has to do is go to the grave, so you can use this. Like, a lot of cards still have extra effects when they're sent to the grave, not just when they're sent off card effects, so that's super nice. You can't go wrong with talents, free draw, free take, free hand knowledge, Great. The Super Polys that I was talking about, clutch card, amazing. Enemy Controller. This card was funny. It's basically like Book of Moon, but you can just take control of your opponent's stuff. So it's like, say for instance, you like going second, I would normal summon a Luber effect. They'd go Imperm, Enemy Controller, Tribute a Luber. My effect will still resolve, and I get to take one of your monsters. Neat. Also, it can change the battle position of an opponent's monster. So in certain cases, like if your opponent makes a Rise Heart, and like you have like something that can beat over a Rise Heart or something like that, or like you have Lightning Storm or something like that, I don't know. Or even like Shangri-Ira. Okay, they make Shangri-Ira, Enemy Controller, change it to attack position. Now it doesn't have that 3k wall on it. It's like the little niche uses, Sometimes changing that battle position can come in clutch to just beat over certain cards. And 2 Dark Hole, I was going to just play Regeki instead, but Ib exists, and I don't want to get Ib lead, so Dark Hole, yeah. And then for the last card, the only actual 3 ugly play in here that isn't 2, Evenly Matched, because I finally got a playset, and it's evenly matched. I mean, it's a great board breaker. Funny enough, it actually felt like people were maining it. Actually, I think people were maining it, honestly, but I didn't really care. Yeah, this is the full deck. 40 card main, branded Despia with a little bit of extra. 15 card extra, and 15 card side. If you guys have any tweaks that you want to make to it, go right ahead. I won't stop you. The reason why, if you're wondering why I'm not playing like Fusion Deployment or something like that, I didn't feel the need to because I'm not playing Cartesia, which is the really only reason to play it. But if you have Cartesias, the card that I would suggest that you take out for Cartesia is probably Kit. But depending on how many you need, you can like take out other stuff too. It's all up to you. But honestly, if you're only playing like 1 Cartesia maybe, you can just take out the Kit, honestly. So do what you gotta do. And I will see you guys whenever I make a new decklist video. I'm really happy with how this turned out. Playing this after playing so much Flu felt really liberating because it was like, when you're playing Flu, it's just like okay, Rabina, Eaglin, M-Pen, or like Rabina, um, Eaglin, Simorg, and like you're always ending on the same stuff. But with this, I had so much freedom. I had so many different options. It was almost overwhelming at first, because like the last time I'd ever played like branded was when I was playing branded Shadal, back when the Albaz structure deck had first came out. So I was like, it was I was way weaker than it was like today. So I loved it. It's super fun, super consistent in my opinion. I never bricked with this. I always had a play to make. It might not have been like a play that wasn't going to get ashed or something like that, but I always had a play at the very least. So, yeah, it's the deck I consider playing. Nothing in here is like expensive at all, to be honest with you. Like, okay, the only cards in here that I would consider any bit expensive is okay. The most pricey cards in here is maybe like Ash, branded opening, and imperms. That's the main. Okay, branded openings are like 5 right now. I don't know how much Ash is, but I'm assuming it's like closer to like maybe $5-10, and that's the same with imperm, maybe like $5-10. For the extra deck, this is all stuff that you can get primarily from the structure deck, except these. Like these are relatively cheap. This was cheap. These were cheap, and all of these were cheap. So the extra deck is like pretty cheap. Like I'm pretty sure you could get all of this extra deck if you just bought singles for like maximum like $30 maybe. For the side deck, this was like this is like $4 each. All of these are like sense cards except for like tactics, talent, and evenlies. But even then, it's like this whole deck, main, extra, and side, would only be like, I'm pretty sure you could get like probably all of this for like 100, maybe 110. But like a lot of the stuff you probably already have just lying around, so you could probably make this. So yeah, this has been my 37-minute deck profile on branded Despia. I hope you guys like it. If you want to play it, I hope you enjoy it.